Back with another video. I wanted to go over this topic, becoming a warrior in the spirit. So I really love this topic. I enjoy this topic, and I really want to get into this. And when I really talk about this, I want to make sure to people that this is not something that's like easy to do. I'm not even going to talk about this topic like, oh, like I'm a perfectionist, like I'm the best warrior. No, because anybody who battles, in real life and in the spiritual realm understands that there's a give and take to a war. And wars are not all about just like fighting to win. Wars are usually fought to get to an agreement or to get to a balance. So both parties are going to feel some type of push and pull. And if you understand what push and pull is a part of what life is. Everything does a push and pull. So to become a warrior in the spirit is something that you have to practice every single day. It's something that you have to practice when you wake up, when you engage with life, when you engage with people. And it's a lifelong journey. You're going to know something new about yourself in every single battle, right? So one of the biggest things you have to understand about becoming a warrior inside of the spirit, I would say the number one thing that you have to practice is how to be grounded, right? You have to understand how to be grounded within this world, within this earth. And you have to really see how to plant your spirit within your vessel. You have to be able to keep your spirit within your vessel. You have to be able to keep your emotional energy within your vessel. And it doesn't mean that you don't feel things or you don't sense things, because that's a part of it, right? That's a part of the gift. But you have to learn how to keep it contained within a certain orbit. So the biggest thing is to understand how to be grounded, right? Within your own spirit, within your own power, right? And this is something that you're going to come across every single day, right? Because one thing about the spiritual realm and with spirits is that spirits are everywhere. You may not see them, but they're always watching you. They're always watching what you're doing, right? They're always trying to probably somehow get inside of your orbit or get to know you more or try to figure you out. And you have to understand that a lot of spirits are afraid themselves. A lot of spirits, they're scared, and a lot of spirits give off certain energies as well. And you have to learn how to be grounded within that, right? You have to be able to learn how to be grounded within that, because there's a lot of things going around you that you may not understand, but you have to know how to walk inside of your own authority. So that's basically one. Now, you have to get to the point too where you have to learn how to come up outside of yourself. And now you need to learn how to apply your knowledge. You have to learn how to apply your authority. And overall, you have to learn how to apply your power when dealing with certain spirits. Because you're going to get to a point within your life that it's going to be inevitable. I don't know if that's the word, but it's you can't think that you can outrun problems and situations, right? Because there's going to be a time where you're going to have to address certain things that come up inside of your life. And a lot of times, especially with spirits, I will say more times than most, a lot of spirits are going to try to invade your space, and they're going to try to in some way get some type of reaction out of you, or because it's trying to figure you out. It's trying to figure you out. And it's going to try to provoke something out of you, or try to get you unbothered. Bothered. And there's going to be a time where you have to learn how to apply your authority and learn how to apply certain skills to be able to talk to these spirits, to be able to de-escalate these spirits. Because more times than, I'm going to tell you this, right? In the spiritual realm is very sensitive. It's a very sensitive space. And the spiritual realm is a mirror. So the way that I think about it is that spirits are basically trying to mimic you. They're mimicking you, right? Because a lot of spirits, they're afraid. A lot of spirits are afraid. And I've also, inside of my journey, I'll get into it a little bit, but I've also learned how to make peace signs with these spirits. I've even went into learning how to pet them, because a lot of spirits, they're afraid. They're very afraid. The way that I look at them, it's like, have you ever seen somebody like peeping behind a door because they're trying to understand what that is? You know, a lot of times you have to give off and exude a certain type of energy that is of authority, but at the same time is of peace. So you have to learn how to balance these two things, because the spiritual realm is just reflecting you. That's all it's doing. And when you learn how to be comfortable within yourself, these spirits start to be comfortable with also themselves. Now, I will say this doesn't happen all the time. You know, there's a lot of times where I've been in certain situations where certain spirits were making me feel very, very uncomfortable. And the reason why they were making me feel uncomfortable is because they were uncomfortable with me being around. So as you become to be more sensitive in this world, you're able to feel all different types of things. So you still have to be able, this is why this world is not for the weak. It's not for the weak, man. It's really not. You really have to really, really do some strong warrior work. I'm telling you. Because there's some strong spirits, man. There's some really, really strong spirits out there that it can be very overwhelming, and that's why I don't want to lead people astray, because, don't get it twisted, man. If anybody has ever been in a battle, they know that, like, when a punch hits you, a good one hits you, it hurts. It's like, oh, ooh, this one's a little tough. So, but at the same time, you have to be comfortable within yourself to know what you can handle and what you can't handle. So there's been times where certain spirits have made me feel very, very uncomfortable, but I've sat inside of it and to really examine it. And you'll get to a point where you can notice, oh, I see what this is. And there gets to points where you have to understand, okay, maybe I should walk away from this feeling. Sometimes a lot of people they will try to sit in certain things and try to they'll try to sit inside of a certain spirit's energy, but sometimes it's not good to do that, because you're taking on that energy. It's like sitting in a pool. Have you ever seen a murky pool where it's probably been sitting there for a while? The water's been sitting there a while. The water's starting to get brown, and the leaves are in there, and the water's not moving. It's dirty, it's polluted. That's what you're basically doing when you're sitting in it. And when I see things like that, or I've sensed things like that, that's when it's time for me to move, right? Because the energy is way too polluted for me to try to cleanse. And I'm not going to try to, cleanse something with my own spirit that I know that is pure and is a gift, to try to cleanse something that can't be cleansed. And that's what you're trying to understand, right? A lot of things it's not about fighting. It's really not about fighting in this. When I talk about warrior spirit, there's times where you do fight, and I have my philosophy about what it takes to fight in the spirit. And honestly, when you're going against certain strong spirits, you have to understand, when you're going to war with certain spirits, man, you have to, there's a point where you have to fight to death. And I'm not speaking in a way to scare people, but you have to understand what comes with certain things, right? You have to. This is why it's important to pick up books. I advise people to pick up certain books about war and learning how to battle in war. Because a lot of things you have to understand, sometimes it's better to walk away. But ultimately, you're not looking, when you're battling within the spirit, you're not really looking to fight a war. What you're looking to do is to help people, heal people if you can, and to balance this world into a better place. Even when I'm battling certain things, certain spirits, it's also balancing me. It's also showing me what I can, what I can't do. It's also sharpening my sword. So you have to be very, very wise and seek more consciousness, more awareness of what you can and what you can't do. But becoming a warrior in the spirit is a very tough job. It's a very tough job. This is why it's important, when you become more elevated inside of your spirituality, understand why it's important to there's going to be times when you're on your healing journey, and once you get past your healing journey, you start to understand who you are, what you're capable of doing. There's going to be a point where there's no more you're always going to be understanding things more, learning about things more, gaining more knowledge, becoming more wise. But then there's going to be a time where it's not about knowledge. It's not about any of that anymore. You're going to have to learn how to apply things, and not just learn how to apply things. I believe the most important thing you're going to have to learn how to do is do spiritual maintenance, right? Because there's going to be a time where, you're done, trying to pick at yourself. You're done trying to understand certain things. Now you're getting out in the field, and now you're really playing the game. And it's going to be very, very important for people to understand how to do spiritual maintenance. So learn how to get to water, understand about learning about water. And water is especially the ocean, it's very cleansing. Learn how to take off your shoes, ground yourself in the grass. Get to understand nature more, get to understand the movements of nature, breathe as they say, the prana, the air within inside of yourself, right? Start to elevate your diet a little bit more. Drink plenty of water. Eat fruits with good electrolytes, especially electrolytes inside of them. Get foods that are very light on you. Now, I'm not into like the psychological wars of playing those games of what diets are good or bad. I'm not really into that, but I am strongly aware that there are foods that are good for you, that keep you more uplifted in your spirit. But once you start to understand certain things, you can play with things a little bit more. You can start knowing how to navigate when you become more mature. But it is important to understand what foods are good for your system, right? Especially when you start to get more sensitive, right? I like to talk about like things like coffee. You're going to start to want to stay away from things that stimulate you too much, because your spirit is already very sensitive. So when you engage with other spirits, it can really make you very, very anxious. And it can really throw you off to understand what is what, right? So when you're interacting with these spirits, you don't want, and like say for instance, you're drinking coffee all the time, you don't want to think about, okay, is it the coffee or is it the spirit? You want to get straight to the spirit, right? So in order to get straight to the spirit, you need to X out things that affect you, right? You need to X out things that affect you, right? And you need to understand what is going on within yourself and what is going on around your atmosphere. So to become a warrior in the spirit, you need to have consciousness. You need to have full-blown consciousness. You need to have self-awareness. You need to ask the universe for more consciousness, right? And you have to keep training, Now, I want to leave you guys with something very positive and very uplifting. I always try to keep my messages, uplifting and encouraging and inspiring for people, because, a lot of people hear about wars and they get afraid. But there's nothing I'm not going to say there's nothing to be afraid of, because you're going to be naturally afraid, man. That's a part of life, right? It's a natural emotion. It's a natural thing. You're going to be afraid, but it gets better, and it actually becomes fun, right? Now, you have to realize that now how I'm going to wrap this message all around is that if you're a person who seeks to become better in this world and is seeking to find their full potential, this is going to be a fun game for you, because you need these spirits to become better, right? You need these spirits to become better. It's kind of like, I don't know if you see, if you've watched Dragon Ball Z, right? Some of the sayings, like it's in the beginning, like the first Dragon Ball Z, right? Some of these sayings, they have like certain radars. They have like a radar that's on their eyes, and they can sense the level of certain beings within their radar. They can sense their certain powers, and that's what happens. It happens when you become more in tuned with your environment. You can start sensing certain things, and you're like, oh, okay, I see what this is. This person's at radar, power level, blah, blah, blah. And you start to become like Goku. You're just like, and one thing I love about Goku is that he's very optimistic. He's optimistic, but at the same time, when he senses a power, he's like, he tunes in. He's like, okay, I can't play with this one. Well, let's dial in. But if you see Goku, he's very like, he enjoys the battle. Like, he enjoys the battle so much that he doesn't even mind dying. And he just loves it. And I'm not saying you have to get crazy to that level, man, but I'm just leaving people here with a sense of encouragement and inspiration that, of course, things are scary, but it does get fun. Also, I will leave you here with this, and this is it. It's important to seek, when spirit does give you, when you do get the guidance of finding your soul tribe, it's very important to find a tribe of people who are like-minded with you. And there's other ways to seek guidance. You don't just have to have a soul tribe, but there's ways to seek guidance to have a place of healing and being nurtured. Because on this journey, I believe more times than most, you're going to need to learn how to nurture yourself. You're going to need to learn how to seek nourishment and being nurtured, as you're going to need spaces and places where you can be nurtured to get back out there to do, the work of Mother Nature and bring about balance into this world. So I hope you guys love this message, leaving you guys here with encouragement. And you are beautiful. You're beautiful the way you are. Your power doesn't have to look strong. It doesn't have to look like this roddy type of power. A power can be so silent. And sometimes that's the best power that I love looking at, is a power that is so elegant and so silent that it's just like, it's inspiring, it's peaceful. People want to imitate that. And sometimes that's the most beautifulest power that I've ever like witnessed. I love to emulate people that they just touch the earth so gracefully. It's kind of like watching ballet. Like, you can't really sense them. There's some people you can't even sense, and I think that's like the best. I inspire to get to that type of level, to a point where like you can't even sense the person. It's like they're not even there spiritually. It's kind of like a ninja. But I inspire to be there to that level. But I leave you guys here with peace and love and compassion to keep doing your thing, keep being you in however way that is. Peace and love.